Cool.
Hello, everyone. You're live with OK Students. My name's Nick.
And my name is Martin.
And we do this session every Friday where we go live to answer your questions and talk about news of the week.
Yes, we do. 18th episode in a row now. I'm immensely proud of us that we've kept going. We started, I think, in the beginning of quarantine or whenever we had to stay home, and we thought we still want to speak to the world somehow. And yeah, I mean, it's become a nice, not routine is not the best word, but like a nice tradition.
Yeah, I think so. Keeping people informed, and just really things have been changing so much that you have to keep on top of it and keep people informed. So this is a great way to do it. If anybody hasn't seen our other videos, all on YouTube, we've covered so many different topics. Like entry requirements, coming to the UK, gap years, other highlights. Martin, what has been your favorites?
My favorites, actually, to be fair, we just discussed it like before we went live, that in the beginning we started off with like a little bit more like broader topics where we just, but what was the fun one when we discussed the graduation and like we found some funny pictures of like robots graduating?
Yeah.
Well, not robots graduating, but just to anyone who don't know what we're really talking about this. I think it was like April time, there was like funny discussions like how the graduation might look like, and some people came up with like really like innovative ideas of like putting iPads on robots as like faces, and then students could like attend actually the graduation ceremonies.
People don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, basically. We scoured Twitter. We were looking at what you were saying, what you were asking. We answer live questions on here. So if anybody wants to send us a question, you can ask me anything. AMA.
AUA, ask us anything.
Oh, okay. AUA.
But yeah, AMA is apparently a thing amongst YouTubers. So yeah, we just surfing with the trends.
That's me.
Anyway, yeah, as we just said, like I think lately our episodes have been more kind of direct, and we've had like very specific topics. Last Friday we discussed traveling to the UK now. So if you want to check that episode out and you are thinking or you will be arriving to the UK in the next couple of months, then definitely some really useful nuggets over there. So yep, this one you can check out. And yeah, this session, I think we're going more general again. And as you said, we're opening up for questions. And yeah, just talk about current kind of news and what's the most relevant for the students. Because what we want to do with those sessions is just to help students as much as possible, bring value. And yeah, to do that the best, we should discuss the latest topics.
Where we're at, exactly right. Okay.
Where are we at?
Well, where we're at, where we're at in the application cycle. But I don't mind talking. You can ask us anything. OK Student is an advisory service for international students mainly who want to study in the UK. I've worked in the university sector for many, many years, and we have an amazing team of students and graduates who can really give their real insight and advice and help you with that application process. So please get in touch. An amazing resource, and we work in partnership with universities. So yeah, users.
Yeah. So what is it? It's getting closer to August now. So what's happening in August? Well, we know that the students are slowly getting their results in. It's getting closer to decision time, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is like the crossroads. Some things are coming together. Some people are making decisions about what to do. So 2 weeks time, we have UK A-level results and what we term clearing. where the universities advertise what vacancies they have, and universities make offers to fill those spaces. So exciting times for all the British students to find out what grades they're going to get, because obviously the exams were cancelled in the UK. So they're getting moderated grades predicted by their schools and teachers, and regulated to basically try and be fair and allow them to progress to universities.
Yeah, you just previously briefly mentioned that they actually told that the grades were a little bit different this year than teachers predicted.
Yeah, so Ofqual have released some information about these moderated grades and what they're looking like, and they're saying that on average the grades will be about 2% higher than previous years. So students are going to get good grades and allow them to progress as a main group. But there was some interesting stats that said that the teachers themselves had predicted or suggested grades 12% higher than last year. So some students will be disappointed because they won't get the predicted grades that the teachers gave them. They will be reduced back down in line with an overall pattern that is 2% higher than 2019.
So what do you mean? Like teachers predicting grades like earlier on, like before, or?
No, the actual statistics are the grades submitted by the teachers and the centres themselves, so schools and colleges that made the submission to the exam regulator to say, yeah, this is what we think the students should get. And then basically they were generous and it inflated the grades by 12%.
Which makes...
Yeah, so the regulator's stepping in to say, look, this would be too much of an increase compared to other years.
Okay.
So we need to kind of distribute the grades so it looks like a normal year.
No, I see. Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense in the current climate to, well, the fact that they kind of a little bit over what do you call it, graded them. It kind of makes sense because of the whole COVID situation and uncertainty, and yeah, I think it's totally normal human behavior.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there is obviously people feel very disadvantaged by not having had a chance to have schools open to take the exams. So the teachers have tried to compensate by being generous in their awards, but the regulator's going to kind of regulate that. But
yeah,
the students,
that's why they're there.
if they feel that if they'd had an exam and they could have done better than the grades they're given, there will be autumn exams and the chance to take again next year if you want. So there will be chances to actually take the exams to see what you could get if you're unhappy with it. But we're expecting also university admissions to be fairly flexible around accepting students who've been made an offer and confirming their places. So even if you get a lower grade, don't worry, because the university may still accept you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, cool. So, I mean, so what else is like really, I mean, I'm thinking, well, what we hear is like still one of the biggest questions that we get from students is that, so what is really actually happening in the UK now? So is it safe? Are universities opening? Are some universities deferring some kind of degrees? And yeah, I mean, before I ask the question, I personally would say that it's probably way much better and chiller than students think. For some reason, people tend to have a little fear usually, or what would you say?
Yeah, I think everybody is nervous at the moment about traveling. So some people are nervous about holidays and traveling, and we're seeing these kind of news reporting about quarantine and some countries open, some countries not. And so there's this kind of nervousness at the moment. But the UK is pretty much back to normal now, I would say, in the sense that everything is accessible apart from large-scale events. like football crowds or concerts or theatres. But shops and restaurants all open and active, and doing well without a huge impact in terms of COVID cases. And all of the universities are adamant that they will be open. The campuses will be open and ready in September or October to welcome students back. Some modifications. There will be obviously things in place in terms of some social distancing, and the lecture theatres closed, so streaming those parts online. But some really interesting kind of news coming out about how universities are going to deal with the situation and society in general.
Yeah. Have you seen anything specific? Before that, thank you everyone joining in. And yeah, you're live with OK Student. We are a advisory center in the UK supporting students with pretty much anything regarding to the higher education and the universities. And if you have any specific questions about traveling to the UK, how the new normal might look like, or anything basically about university life, just drop the comment below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah, Martin, we have some in the inbox, some comments coming in,
yes.
questions.
I'm
more than happy to answer them. So here's one here from Sahil saying, hey guys, thank you, that we're doing quite well. I hope this is useful for you. And a question saying, on average, how much can you earn as working part-time in the UK, and what are the most common part-time jobs?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your question, Sahil. So on average, how much can it? I would say that it really depends on what you do and how much you do it. I mean, I'm just thinking back on my own experience now when like first couple of years at my university. So work-wise, there is definitely different types of jobs. The most common ones are probably working either in a cafe, in a bar, or in a restaurant. These are usually quite common ones and probably easier to get than maybe the one that's in your field that you do study. However, I've worked myself with the university quite a bit. That was a really, really good experience as well because of, so for example, I think I worked for the international recruitment department at my university. I did some calling campaigns. I'm from Estonia initially. And yeah, some other bits and bobs. But the best thing about it was the kind of scheduling, because when you kind of work with or for the university, it's so easy to make your own schedule because of they obviously know and understand when you have lectures, when you have seminars. So they're really, really understandable.
Yeah. So I could add a few bits to that. So as a kind of tier 4 visa student, a student requires a study visa, you're allowed to work 20 hours a week. So it's still plenty of hours for a part-time job. And as Martin said, many of the UK cities, lots and lots of part-time work in hospitality, so bars and restaurants and cafes, in retail, so the shops and those positions, and in some areas of kind of business admin or logistical work. So loads and loads of part-time job options. Something that's become very popular with students is kind of like delivery driving or cycling. So like Deliveroo, delivering food, things like that, because the hours are so flexible. And obviously if you enjoy cycling and things like that, so many students enjoying those roles. And yeah, as Martin said, the universities themselves are huge employers of students. So there was an article today that I read that's saying that some of the biggest universities employ 5,000 people. That's, the kind of average staff ratio. And many of them are students in admin roles or support roles. So lots and lots of job opportunities around a university city. or town.
Yeah,
Even OK Student here, we employ many students to help us with marketing, with services, with advising.
I do agree, and especially like I think the big benefit of either working with university or someone like us, for example, is that in addition to like being able to do maybe a little bit more what you really want to do, is the factor is that you start building up relationships with like people at the university or yeah, because you never know where you might end up with. I know plenty of people who actually worked with me in the with the at the time when I was working for the university, and actually they have, I think a couple of them have stayed there now and are working full time. So you're kind of building up for your future as well when you study.
Yeah, employment is a big part of it. Like you say, just for experience, for the connections, for your social life. So I always recommend that you try and balance some work, some part-time work alongside your study. Now, there's a few things, Sahil, here. You said how much could you earn? On average, the wages are kind of between £7 and £9 an hour. Depends on your age, depends on the type of work. It can be more. And some roles also offer kind of bonus schemes and things like that. So I think it's a good wage to have, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And it really depends where you're coming from as well. So for example, making £7 to £9 an hour is a big deal for example, for Estonian, where the hourly rate is way less.
Yeah, exactly right. The UK minimum wage can be very strong, but you do have to understand that the living costs can be expensive. So particularly accommodation and rent can be the higher end of the expense. Food, you can kind of manage that expense a little bit more by having a budget and looking at different places to shop. But yeah, you can make the UK wage stretch quite far, I think.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you, and yeah, there is plenty of ways to support your kind of financially your time studying.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for your question, Sahil. If you have anything else you wish to know, just get in touch with us. You can email us info@okstudent.co.uk, or yeah, just drop us a line, and we're more than happy to help you out with basically anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether you've applied or you need visa support or you just have questions about settling in like this, we're really happy to help. You'll also find that your university has a lot of information. And then when you start at the university, they will help you get your national insurance number for working tax reasons. And they will have a jobs office or an employability office that can kind of get you started with a CV and how to make applications. So don't worry about it. I think there's plenty of part-time work for you. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the UK.
Yeah, and definitely, I think we at OK Student are having like really fast-paced growing community as well. So I'm not sure where you are from, but we are more than happy to connect you with some people probably from your area, because I think we have like most of the nationalities under our like community umbrella.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, definitely. I mean, check out the kind of channels up here, particularly the Instagram. A lot of activity on there, a lot of support, a lot of community support. So follow us, like us, share it, and yeah, you will be able to talk to other students about your situation.
Of course, because in addition to those weekly lives, we do also lives with current students, where one of our senior advisors, AT, is actually interviewing or just asking questions from current students. We have our advisory live weekly as well with our head of advisors, Mariana, and then she's bringing on a different advisor from our team every single week. These have been really cool as well, because I think they're like super practical, because you can pretty much ask anything. AMA. And yeah, they I think they are the best people to actually help you with like serious questions as well.
Yeah, those student live Q&As are amazing because they give such good insight about everything. They're also really funny and really friendly, and you just get a feeling for what it's really like to study in the UK. So definitely check them out. Usually on a Thursday we do some great ones. So yeah, just basically follow the Instagram and you'll see all these things. So should we talk about what other things that people are asking us at the moment? We were talking a bit about kind of quarantine and the COVID situation. Obviously, people are. I know you don't want to talk about it. I can tell.
No, that's totally fine. I think I've lately kind of changed my mind a bit as well. I was at some point I was just so tired of the whole COVID talk, but in theory that's the reality and that's what's happening now. So I think it's totally fine to talk about the reality and what's currently happening, because in the end this is a relatively kind of strong factor that's affecting students this year.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's kind of what everyone's talking about and trying to predict. So first, let's talk about Martin. You are flying to the UK today. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you are. I'm actually literally driving to the airport in like 50 minutes. So yeah.
How are you feeling about it? Are you worried, or as in, what's traveling like?
So basically, I'm personally not really worried at all. I think that something that has helped me a lot is I've been away from the mainstream media and news. I haven't really followed the UK news whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, I'm just expecting to have a really similar experience to when I traveled to the Estonia like about a month ago. So all the basics, like wearing a mask for the next 5 to 8 hours probably, and just being a bit more careful of like not touching things everywhere and washing hands and so on. But in general, like I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are traveling now. A lot of airlines are running, and a lot of countries are quarantine free coming back to the UK. So definitely the borders are open. It's just we have the measures in place now, looking at the kind of tracking your location and talking about wearing a mask and hygiene procedures as you travel to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, just really, if you need to quarantine or not, what provision and what help you have to do that safely and comfortably.
Yeah. So 48 hours before your flight, actually the form opens 48 hours before. So what I had to do, what everyone flying into the UK at the moment have to do, is fill in the form. I can't remember what was the form called officially, I'm afraid, but basically it literally took me like 10 minutes, and I had to give them just details about my arrival. Why am I coming? Which countries have I visited in the past 14 days? You have to give them your kind of permanent address for the first 14 days, which is, I'm assuming it's just like formality, but just you guys are aware as well, not to forget to do that.
Yeah, and I'd say the UK, is really open for business. Everything is operating back to kind of more like normal life, including the airports. So I think it's about taking those precautions, and the government now can track and trace, that's what they call it, where they can basically keep a record of where people have been and where they're staying, so that if there is a case, they can contact you really easily and just say, hey, there was somebody in your, who's local to you when you were traveling who might have COVID or has COVID. And so therefore, we ask that you take the precaution to just stay at home and quarantine.
Definitely. Yeah, and definitely do check the status of your country where you're coming from. So as you just said, some countries still do need to quarantine in the UK for 14 days. Some countries don't. Apparently, Estonia was taken off the list a little bit ago, so I necessarily don't need to stay indoors for 2 weeks. But some countries do. They also ask you, like, let's say I've been in this Estonia, like if you have traveled any other countries whilst here, because obviously that's the factor they need to think about as well. But yeah, yeah, as you said as well, it's mainly just formality and to help the whole tracking system.
Yeah, and what we're seeing now is amazing news from the universities to say how they will manage the situation as students come for the start of term. So some universities are chartering flights, so you can get flights with the university to come over to the UK, so as opposed to going on commercial flights. Then also the universities, if you are coming from a country where there is a quarantine regulation, that they will put accommodation on with food and support and everything else to allow you to comfortably see out that quarantine period in a really safe and comfortable way. So it's amazing that universities are going to provide that for you. And also, you know, private accommodation will be doing the same, will be providing things to make that time comfortable for you. And if you have to do it, a lot of people don't have to do it.
And I've heard that like the university accommodations, the first 14 days when you have to self-isolate, they do cover the costs themselves.
Yes, and they're being opened up early. So you could come to the UK a bit earlier to cover off all of the quarantine period so that you can start classes and going around campus on time and everything else. So start checking out with your universities, because each one is slightly different. And it all depends on if you're in university accommodation or if you're in private accommodation. But if you need help, just get in touch with us and we can kind of help connect you to the right information for you.
But actually, that's a very relevant and good point that you just said about the timing of arriving to the UK this year, because of, it would be smart to come like a couple of weeks earlier, just to spend the quarantine or the self-isolation period before the opening welcome week, because no one wants to sit home the whole welcome week.
It's really sensible that you can come earlier now and, as you say, get that bit done so that you can start on time. But also it goes the other way. So universities are saying if you can't travel for whatever reason, then you can delay the start by starting online. I can watch my lectures like this, so it's online enrollment, and then come when it's comfortable for me. And that can be a month late or 2 months late. You just need to make sure you tell the university and that you do enroll online and participate in lectures online. So loads of flexibility this year, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. But all the students we speak to cannot wait to come to the UK and get started. They're not worried about having to wear a mask for some things, for public transport and things like that. And, it's really the same in every country. We're living with this COVID situation and we're going to make the best of it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Hey, I see Sahil has asked us another question, Martin.
You're very welcome. And yeah, the kind of, so I think half of it we have already. So basically Sahil asked another question, that what could be the major problems that students could probably face when coming to the UK in September? I think some of them we have already replied. Is first of all that you should arrive a little bit earlier, because if you're coming for the welcoming week, then you would need to self-isolate when coming from the country which is on the self-isolation list. What other major problems? I would say just the basic being aware of the situation and being a bit more cautious than usually.
Yeah, I think we're seeing some situations where some students have places for September start, and depending on the numbers on that course or what nationality they're from, or what country they're coming from, there is a chance that some courses might get deferred to January. It's only a few courses that are heavily reliant on students coming from certain countries, so it's probably not going to affect you, Sahil. But some students are having maybe a restricted choice. They might have to switch choice if they want to come in the autumn as opposed to having it deferred to January. But as Martin said, I think the major problem is just about planning your journey, and if it includes a quarantine period, and not really being afraid of that, just managing it correctly. So understanding if you need to come early or late, and that you always keep in touch with the university to let them know what your decisions are.
Yeah, definitely.
But the UK is feeling very, very safe, and the universities are doing so much to really make it a safe environment for you and an enjoyable environment as well. I actually think we've talked about this before, but I think it's going to enhance so much about the university experience because it's going to make things more efficient. They're going to bring in more technology and more innovation. It's so student-centric about caring for the students and looking after them. So I think in some ways it's a really good thing because we're really, really looking at the whole system and what's best for students.
And it's a little nice like refreshment for the whole industry as well, because I mean actually the student cycle for the university has been the same for quite a while. So even though the situation is a little bit weird and not the best, I think it's actually, yeah, as you said, maybe even a little bit refreshing.
Definitely. And we have to, when you compare as well the UK situation compared to what some other countries where the pandemic is really much worse and the numbers are much higher, we have to be fortunate about being in this position to manage things safely and to really have the possibility of starting on time and not having to delay a year. You look at the US and the situation is particularly bad, and we're kind of thinking about our colleagues over there in the industry. And I really think we have to look at the UK as saying, that it is in a position where we can do this, and that there are things in place to try and move on safely. So positivity, I think.
Yeah, I need to put things to perspective, and it's always worse somewhere else. And yeah, what as you like to say all the time is now is the time to be brave.
Yeah, always. I would say you do have to kind of seize the opportunity and see the good things in any situation. Students have so much to be afraid of because of what they see in the news about COVID, about the economy, about job possibilities. But there are so many opportunities out there for all of us. And I think you have to make your own decision. And sometimes you have to be brave and make calculated risks about what the choices are right for you. So as I say, we're in touch with many, many students. And there is still such a strong positivity about studying abroad, about coming to the UK. And I think that's reflected in the fact that this year for undergraduate courses, there are 10% higher or more applications from overseas students coming to the UK. So the UK is very strong, is in demand. And I expect kind of a big intake in the autumn.
Couldn't have a better way to, I think, wrap up this session.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your questions. I'm sure lots of people watch these sessions after we've recorded them and then basically send in their questions later. So we're happy to answer them or make comments on this. And if you disagree, please let us know as well.
Of course. Check our stuff on all of our socials. We have a really cool Medium eco space where To be fair, student guest writers write very relevant stories, and yeah, if you want to be a part of the writing team, or actually, I would call out all of the creative people, because we actually need the help always to come up with more fun content and yeah, do great things. So if you're an artist, if you're a video maker, or if you can write a great copy, just get in touch with us. I'll just pop up the email in here, info@okstudent.co.uk. Tell us what you do, what your strengths are, and yeah, we'll jump on the call and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, even students like Sahil who are considering coming to the UK, they could share their story about, you know, their excitement, their fears, and how they're preparing to come over, because it will inspire other people, and that's what we want. We want real stories, and we want a community that can help each other.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Have a really, really good end or the other part for your day. And to anyone who listened to us, thank you again. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.